Good morning from Germany and a warm welcome to everybody. Thank you very much for joining our webinar today. My name is Uwe Frankenpohl. I'm a poultry nutritionist working for Vilofoss, and I'm based in Germany. Today we prepared a webinar on the pecking behavior of poultry, and we want to share our experience on how to manage this pecking behavior. First of all, let me give you some technical information. So unfortunately, due to technical reasons, it's not possible to use your microphones. Nevertheless, you have the chance to communicate with us, unfortunately a little bit indirectly. You can send us questions or comments by using the Q&A function, which you should find on the upper right side of your screen. There you see an icon with a question mark. And if you use this one, you should be able to send us some questions or comments. And we hope that this is okay for everybody. We would like to answer these questions and discuss this question at the end of our presentations then. Furthermore, there will be a summary proceeding will be available of this webinar where we summarize the most important information. This should be available for you, and you will also receive afterwards a link for the video summary so that you can watch the video again if you missed something or if you want to repeat something then again. So to be honest, I'm still a little bit new for me with a video meeting and not with live real people. So I'm still struggling a little bit, but nevertheless, I think this is a good way to communicate with people. Not so nice like a real meeting, but maybe we also can do this very soon again then. So for today, we prepared two presentations. The first will be an introduction to the topic. So we prepared some information about the behavior of poultry and about the pecking behavior and about the way how we think we can manage it or support it and manage it in the right direction. We spent a lot of time on this to create solutions, and we developed a product which is called PECKStone, which is a good tool to manage the pecking behavior in poultry. And then the second presentation will be on this product, and we try to give you more information on the product, of the history and how we developed it. So this will be PECKStone behind the scenes. And then after these two presentations, we booked also some time for questions and for the discussion of the presentations then. Yeah. So our presenters today will be my two colleagues from the Vilofoss Poultry Group. The first presentation will be given from my colleague Jan van Spiel. Jan was born and grown up in the Netherlands, and some years ago he moved with his family to France. And he joined our company in 2018, and he joined the Poultry Group in 2019. Jan has a lot of practical experience with poultry, and especially with layers and with barn egg production. This is very nice for our group, so we can use this practical experience for discussion and advising our customers. The second presentation will be given from Dr. Faraz Ansari. Faraz studied animal science in Iran, and he joined our company in 2017, working first for the export department. Now he's also a member of the Vilofoss Poultry Group, giving nutritional advice and consultants to our customers. And since he's working for Vilofoss, he's also involved into the development and product management of the PECKStones. So let me start with some introduction. I myself, I joined the poultry industry in 98, and I started my career with working with turkeys. The first year I spent my life with turkeys. And like you can see from the picture, the beak of the turkey is quite impressive and it's a quite effective tool, but it also can be a very effective weapon. Yeah? You can see on the left picture, this is a trial from the mid of the 90s with turkey hens where we didn't treat it the beak. You see it's quite long and very impressive. And as you can see on the feathering of the turkeys, this can cause a lot of problems inside the flock. So, or on the right side, this can cause to injuries and pain to the birds. So somehow you have to manage the beak. And when I started in the industry, there were two main systems how to manage this. There was an equipment called BioBeaker. This was some equipment with some high voltage, and you treated the beak, and then the upper part of the beak was reduced, so that this sharp weapon was reduced, and that there was no risk anymore for other turkeys. And there were also these hot blades in use. I think not so often in turkeys. As last, I was not so familiar with this. These were the main treatments to manage the beak size. And this was accepted at this time to reduce the beak, because this gave less pain or less stress to the birds than injuries or woundings or hurting by other turkeys with a long beak. So this was at this time the actual technical. As an industry, we were always looking for improvements. So, for example, in the beginning of the 2000 years, we introduced this new technique in Germany with an infrared treatment of the beak. This was coming originally from the States, the Novatec PSP equipment, and there was a lot of research going on this equipment when we introduced this in around 2000 in Germany. So, for example, Professor Haffetz from the Berlin University did a long study on this equipment and to find out how this works and if this is a good treatment for the birds. Nevertheless, we were always also looking for possibilities to manage the behavior of the birds. So I remember that directly when I started to work with poultry, we were looking for possibilities to keep turkeys busy. So there was, for example, a presentation in 2003 on a WPSE conference in Berlin, where we already tried to present our experience with ways to keep turkeys busy. We tried a lot of funny things, strange things, and always not the best things, like with plastic equipment. And Faris will mention this a little bit later, which is sometimes a little bit risky. So since I'm working with poultry, this was always a topic, and I think quite a long time also before it, this was always a topic, how to manage this behavior in the best way then. This is not the end of the story. Recently, we have some more new developments. First of all, we see that consumer have changed their behavior. They're more interested and more into animal welfare. So this is more and more of concern. Then we also changed a lot the husbandry system. So with layers, for example, we have banned the traditional cage in 2010 in Germany. At the university, the professor told us that this traditional cage gives less stress to the birds because you have a defined group and they have a defined pecking order. Now we bring the birds out of the cage, which is nice for the birds. They can run around. They will meet a lot of new other layers, but this is also giving a lot of new stress for them because they always have to find a new pecking order, rearrange the pecking order. So we have a lot of new conditions, and so we have a new, or we bring it back old behaviors, and we have to find out how we manage these behaviors. And this is what we did a lot the recent time. We spent a lot of time of this to find products, how we can manage this. And this is the main topic of our webinar today. And So I think this is enough for the welcome. So let's start with the first presentation, with the introduction part and the behavior and more part. And this is done by Jan van Spiel.
Thank you, Uwe, for your nice words to start this webinar. I will try to share my screen and start with my presentation. It takes a little bit of time. In the meanwhile, I would like to say wishes you a very well day also. And I think I will be ready to start. So as Uwe already mentioned, today we are going to inform you how from Vilofoss side we think you could have a better control on the pecking behavior of your poultry. And for this I would start to present you this statement: natural behaviors performed by poultry in intensive production systems allow better animal welfare. And this statement has two topics, animal welfare and natural behavior, inside the statement itself, which are very popular topics at this moment. As well in broiler production as in layer production, animal welfare is a hot topic, and in broiler production it's focused on enrichment materials, and for layers material is used to reduce real feather pecking. But what exactly is animal welfare and what is the natural behavior of poultry? Because there are many different insights worldwide, especially on the topic animal welfare. If you would ask consumers who go on a daily basis to a store where they have the choice in many different meat or many different eggs, the perception of animal welfare will definitely be different than if you would ask this to consumers where there is less choice or even no choice. And of course, supermarkets and retailers have to act to this differences in globally situations. And for sure, if you'd ask animal activists or poultry producers what their perception of animal welfare is, you will have a totally different reply to it. So we have to see if we can somehow frame this animal welfare topic. And I think one of the first who did this, and many people are still working with this, is the Brambell Committee, who did this already in 1965. And this study was modified in 1979 by the FAWC, which is a independent council for advice to the UK government, but also in EU a lot of decisions are made based on these studies of the FAWC. And this study they have presented some welfare principles, and some criteria are connected to these welfare principles. So you have good feeding, good housing, good health, and appropriate behavior for the bird, for animals in general. And pretty much all companies who work in agriculture business can find their daily business back in one of these four principles. For instance, we as Vilofoss, we produce premix. We are working using good feeding and advise all customers worldwide in this. And today we discuss our solution for the appropriate behavior of animals. And more specific, the criteria's expression of social behaviors and expression of other behaviors. And this is where animal welfare and behavior of animals meet. Because as you know, also poultry has natural behaviors, different ones, and these different behaviors may start at different points in a chicken life. And despite of all positive genetic modification of our modern birds, does poultry still show basic poultry behaviors? And some examples, of course, we all know this mating is a natural behavior, spreening, the dust bathing, scratching, roaming, and with roaming I mean the motion activities outside or inside a barn or even within a cage. Birds have need to move, and brooding. And I know this picture of brooding is a very typical one, but for instance, you also might think of the pens where turkey pulls are held for the first few days. This is a sort of brooding also. And beside these natural behaviors, also pecking is a natural behavior of poultry. And then I specifically mean the gentle feather picking. The gentle feather picking is a part of the normal behavior of poultry. And in an article in the DGS magazine in 2016 was mentioned that even 15,000 peck activities for a laying hen is a normal behavior. So 15,000 peck activities per day. And this normal behavior must be satisfied. If you don't, you might have a bigger chance on severe feather picking or even cannibalism. So social gentle feather picking is a normal behavior. If you don't, birds may look like this. And in this slide, you already see a different kind of feather picking. And yes, there is a varying degrees of feather picking. There are different types of feather picking. And if you sum this up in a table, you'll find that there is feather picking behavior, and there is pecking behavior not on feathers but on tissue. This feather picking can be divided into gentle feather picking, which is social normal behavior of birds, and severe feather picking. And with severe feather picking, you'll see a removal of the feathers. And these feathers are eaten, so with consumption or without consumption. And that's a totally different history, which we have to plan another webinar for. But this is the difference between the gentle feather picking and the severe feather picking. And furthermore, you have the tissue picking and the aggressive picking. And this is mentioned in all studies, more or less like cannibalism. This is severe feather picking, and this is the behavior which we would like to see with our birds. And we have to control this gentle picking, that it doesn't turn out in severe feather picking or even this cannibalism. Does this happen a lot? Do we see a lot of aggressive picking or severe feather picking? Yes, we do. A lot of studies on laying flocks have been done, and we see feather cover damage, like on this picture, and even more on this picture, in 50 up to 95% of all flocks. Birds show this cover damage of their feathers. And not only in laying flocks, but already in rearing, we see this happening up to 40, up to 80% of all hens in rearing flocks. Does this only happen in flocks which are held on the floor or coming outside. No, this happens in all kind of poultry housing systems, cage, floor systems, aviary systems. You'll see it happen on all ages and in different degrees of feather damage. And of course, when birds age, the risk of feather damage is more severe, but it happens at all ages. Knowing this, can we somehow point out the costs due to severe feather picking? And this is difficult to answer. Despite of all the studies which have been done on severe picking, it is very hard to point out the question to point out when severe feather picking did influence the technical and herewith financial outcome. And of course, it is also very hard to tell which mortality in a flock was due to severe feather picking and which was the normal mortality. But else we can also we know from our studies that if poultry loses feathers, that with every 10% of feather loss, they have to compensate this with 4 grams feed a day. So this will be 14 ounces per 100 hands a day of extra feed, just to regulate the energy balance. And this is a figure given for cage held birds, and it will be even more with chickens with a lot of movement, so born chickens or even chickens who also come outdoors. And if you put these figures in a table, then you'll see a increase of daily feed consumption. And if you combine this figures and the tables I just gave to you, we all have experience with these kinds of feather loss. And what is this? 10, 20, maybe 30%? This is for sure over 40%. And I made a quick calculation. If you have a boarding flock with a normal feed consumption, and you take a feed price of 31 euros per 100 kilo or 325 dollars per short ton, then this extra feed intake with a 20% feather loss would cost for 50,000 animals layer born over €1,000 a week, and this is over a $1,250 a week extra feed costs. So this makes it very interesting to keep your feathers in a good condition. So then we come to a point of how to do this. And the use of enrichment materials is a possible option to minimize this risk of severe feather picking or even cannibalism. And it is already widely used in poultry. And our advice is to start at an early age by presenting these enrichment materials to your animals. Preferable as from day one. As I said, as Vilofoss, we present the PECKStone as our enrichment material, which is an easy, effective, inexpensive and safe preoccupation material, and it has a lot of advantages. And I quickly want to take you through these advantages. First of all, we PECKStones. Because in the field, these materials are used for different. As I mentioned, we need different enrichment materials, different types of PECKStones, because in the field we see birds of different age and different heights. So it is impossible to have a 1 or 2 products which fits the whole market. And for this reason, present today to the poultry market our product range of PECKStones, and pretty much we have different types of hardnesses. So we start with a medium one in an orange bowl, then to a hard one in the yellow one, a yellow bowl, sorry, extra hard, and an extra hard one. And on top of that, we have two special PECKStones, the Fresh and the Duo. Maybe the most important PECKStone which we have, if you follow our advice to start at an early age of using PECKStones, is this medium PECKStone, this medium hardness PECKStone. Why is it so important to use this one to start with? This is the most soft PECKStone we have, and if even 1-day-old birds pick on this PECKStone, you'll still see that a little piece of it falls off, or they can eat it, they can consume it, something is happening. And this is what it makes attractive to go back to the PECKStone in any kind of situation when they want to de-stress or whatever reason. It must be attractive to go to the PECKStone. And maybe you will not right away see the effects of using the PECKStone with this medium one in the first period of using it. Later on, it will be good that they know there is a PECKStone and that something is happening. So this medium one is a very important one to use to start with in rearing for layers, breeders, in broiler production, turkeys, game birds, whatever. If you start with the most soft one, the medium. Of course, sometimes people start using PECKStones at a later age of the birds. So if you start with this hard one, you might think of an age from about 8 to 10 weeks. And then this is also fit for rearing broilers, turkeys, game birds. Is pretty much the standard PECKStone. The extra hard one is pretty much the standard one for the egg production period, for layers, for breeders, for turkeys. But we even see that if you have layers who are non-debeaked with a very sharp back, as Uwe showed the picture before, you might even need an extra hard one. So this is why we have the active. These different hardness degrees, we offer you also the PECKStone Fresh, which is a hard PECKStone, so fit for production for layers and breeders. And this, in the formulation of this PECKStone, we also use essential oils and coarse limestone. And we all know the benefits of these products in poultry production. So if you use your production, your farm in your marketing, this PECKStone would fit perfectly in it. And then we have a special one, the dual PECKStone. And the thing about the dual PECKStone is that you can break it into two halves. So in production already, they put in a carton board so that you can easily break it in two pieces when the PECKStone comes on your farm. And why is this handy? The hardness of the PECKStone, the duo, is in between medium and hard. So this makes this PECKStone easy to use for younger birds, but also for slightly older ones. And if you have a smaller housing or a smaller flock, it's most of the time not very practical to use two different types of hardnesses, which I just presented before, but you can do with this one. Also, this one fits very well if you use the PECKStone for animal welfare reasons or specific label production. So this makes us presenting a whole product range of different types of PECKStones, so we can advise you the best one in all different specific situations which we face in the field. And of course, in some dealers do not have the whole product range available, or sometimes the hard or the extra hard one is presented in another color ball, but this has to do with government legislation. Sometimes the formulation has to slightly be changed, and but again, this is the product range which is the base of our PECKStones. And then in the field, how do you use them? If you use your PECKStones for really controlling this pecking behavior, which you want to do with breeders, turkeys, or with layers, then you'll use one PECKStone for about 650 birds. If you use your PECKStone specifically for animal welfare reasons, then you could go up to 1,000 birds for one PECKStone. Like in Germany and England with retractor, you see that in broiler production there is more and more the need to supply enrichment materials, not specifically to control the pecking behavior, but more and more for animal welfare reasons. And then you could go up to these 1,000 birds. And for this reason, the PECKStone Duo would be also very interesting, because if you break it in two, you could serve 2,000 birds with one block. So this makes it a very interesting block for this one. And then something about the daily use of the PECKStones. This is very differently, because all flocks reacts differently in its specific environment, climate, feeding, management. So it's difficult to pronounce how long PECKStones will be remained while used. On average, we say you can expect a daily use of 0.4 up to 1 gram a day a bird. So this would be about 2.5 ounce per 100 days per 100 birds per day. And if you start using the PECKStone like we do advise as from the first day, you can change to other types of block by looking at the use of the block. So if you start with a medium one, and in general you see that this medium block is used within 3 weeks, you go up to a harder block. And otherwise, you also might come in some positions that the block you use are less used because of some exterior reasons. And for us, my colleague will define later what could be the reason for this. But you might also come into a position that you have to change to a softer block or use a combination of two types for a moment. The weight of the block makes it a very manageable block for farmers to use in their daily business. And to use the block, you first remove it from the bowl, as shown in these two pictures. And then, if you use it for young birds, small sized birds, you place the PECKStone directly on the bedding, like shown in this picture. Medium-sized birds, or like layers or rearing flocks as from 10 weeks, we advise to use place the PECKStone on top of the flipped bowl. And for us, we'll explain later also why we advise this to do. And of course, we also have in poultry higher sized birds. And for these birds, like shown here in this turkey flock, we have a special hanging element available, which can be used in combination with PECKStones with a hole in the middle. So you can hang them at an appropriate height for the birds. And for this reason, we have the PECKStone hard, extra hard, active and fresh, also available with hole. And although the whole PECKStone use is not really rocket science, still we advise our dealers or customers with custom-made user protocols. So we do a overview of the PECKStones which we think you have to use on your farm. We tell you how to divide the PECKStones in your stable and specifically how to use them. Because if you are working with enrichment materials and you invest money in this, we would like you to make sure that you benefit these enrichment materials at the max into your daily management. And this is what I would like to end up with and give the word to my colleague Faraz to further explain you about the PECKStones behind scenes. Thank you very much.
Oh, thank you very much. Microphone.
First, you have to unmute your microphone.
Yeah. Right, but it doesn't work, so I try again. Sorry.
So now we can hear you. Don't touch it.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Thank you very much, and hello everybody, and thank you, Jan, for this interesting information. As Uwe already introduced me, I work as a technical advising for poultry and not directly from our quality management department, but we thought that it's very important to show you how we ensure the quality and the safety of our products to the animal and hence to the human consumption. So before that, I would like to give you some background information regarding our history of the PECKStone. So the first idea just...
Sorry for... So we're a little bit nosy. We would like to see you. Could you please switch your camera?
Oh, sorry.
Okay. Now we are settled down. Please
okay,
go ahead.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, some words regarding history of the PECKStone. So the first idea just developed in 2012 in our R&D department in Vilofoss, Germany, with the view to the market needs and the future and the needs of our farmers and all the discussions regarding animal welfare. We developed and designed the PECKStone. And at that time, the discussion was in R&D group, are we going to have a mineral-based PECKStone or the organic-based PECKStone? After many research and studies, we decided for mineral-based PECKStone. I will come back later to this topic again. And yeah, after many developing and testing different formulation in our trial farms in line hens, broiler, and the turkeys, we just delivered the first batch only in Germany in 2013. So the feedback of our customer was very positive. So we expand the range of our PECKStone. We developed a different hardness grade, such a medium, duo, hard, and extra hard. And in the course of the year, of course, the demand increased, and we had very high demand in Germany and also for export countries. And currently, yeah, we again expand the range. As Jan also mentioned, I think we are the only company which offered the different hardness grades, different sort of the PECKStone for our customers. And we expanded. Now we have a basic, active, fresh, and currently we export more than 25 countries worldwide. So today's topic I just mentioned, we want to talk about also the quality of our product and the safety from the raw material up to packaging and delivery to our customers. So why we decided for mineral-based PECKStone? As you all know, all the animals need minerals, from insects up to mammals and the birds. In the wildlife, most of the animals just eat these mineral earths and clays, not only as a toxin binder, but also to get vital minerals for the normal function of their bodies. Even geophagia is also common by human nowadays, even, for example, in some African countries, for example, in Zambia, the pregnant women especially, they buy it from their local markets, such a clay in the form of cookies, and they eat these cookies to get the vital minerals. Also, another example from Haiti is also common to make such a biscuits or the cookies from these minerals and for suitable for consumption for the human. One very important issue and topic which most of us forget that is that any material which we offer as a preoccupation material for our animals, if they peck, we always have an oral intake of this material. So the quality and the safety of these products are very important. I just want to show you two videos. Maybe you can see better. During the pecking, the animal also intake the material. So this is one video from our trial farms, and the right side videos that our customers send us. It was very positively, feedback to us. It was very happy, and the animals were also happy. As you see, the animal after pecking also take the material and swallow it. So they have also feeding off the material. So nowadays in the market, you can find different kind of preoccupation material, enrichment material, for example, all kind of organic materials such as potatoes, grains, apples, carrots. One of the disadvantages of these materials, they have very short shelf life, so you can't buy in a high quantity and stock and store in your farm. So this is one example what could happen if they store this organic material for a little bit long time. This is the example of carrot after 1 week is stored in the farm. Another product that you can unfortunately also find in the market, is the product from the building materials, such as building blocks, cements. One disadvantage of these products, they are most of the time very hard, so the animal can't work easily on that. And the second and very important issue with these products, they can contaminate it with harmful stuff such as dioxin or the heavy metals. So unfortunately, there is no quality control regarding these issues, and it's not advisable to use such material and offer as a preoccupation material for the animals. Other stuff also you can see in the farm, such pharma use, for example, CDs, cables, plastic bottles, even we saw toilet brushes in the farms. So based on the definition of the preoccupation materials, so the animal, this preoccupation material should be manipulable, so the animal should be able to work on it. So these products also not suited for as an enrichment material for the animals. So just briefly, the advantage of using our Vilofoss PECKStone. Our PECKStone is mineral based and has a long shelf life, so more than 2 years. PECKStones give animal the possibility of individual additional intake of vital minerals and salts such as calcium, phosphorus, magnesium, and sodium. And we always work very intensively with research institutes and the universities all over the world and test our PECKStone, and the positive effect of our using Vilofoss PECKStone have been scientifically proved. For example, with the result of the study in Australia, on the University of New England, they just found out that the length of the beak of the animals correlated with the using of the PECKStone. So the mineral component support natural beak wear. PECKStone with the hole is also available, and we also offer an inexpensive and easy to use hanging elements. PECKStone available in different hardness grades, just already Jan mentioned, and all the family of our PECKStone approved for organic farming. So as I mentioned already, by offering a PECKStone, we give animal an opportunity for individual additional intake of vital minerals and salts. I just want to emphasize this term individually, because recently many studies show that we should observe and see the animal not as a flock, but as individuals in a flock with slightly different needs. So by offering a PECKStone, we give this opportunity to the animal. If the animal needs more salt or more calcium, more phosphorus, they can pick themselves. So in contrary to the feed, individual intake is possible. So for example, in this calculation, as you see, if the animal uses a PECKStone hard, in the intake would be 0.95 gram, which will, that would be so corresponded with the increase of calcium from in the final feed from 3.6 to 3.77. The same is also for phosphorus, sodium, and magnesium. And as you also may know, all these stuff are very well known to calm and affect the behavior of the animal. For example, sodium level in feed less than 0.15% will cause aggressiveness to varying degrees, because the sodium play a great role in electrolyte balance. Or for example, magnesium also reduce aggressiveness behavior by involving in neural synaptic transmissions. So if we come back to our quality management starts from the raw material. That means we use the best raw material, certificated raw material, to produce and manufacture first-class products. So we guarantee complete quality control from farm to fork. All our plants are certificated, different certification we have, such as GMP Plus, QS certification, organic certification, A-feed, secure feed, and so on. We also perform pollutant control, for example, fluoride, hazard, heavy metals, dioxin, DL and NDL PCBs, and also very important, especially for breeding company, we also perform salmonella monitoring. Salmonella monitoring, we do sampling from raw material to equipment to housing and up to pallets, which we stock our PECKStones on it. So about the raw material and pollutant control, we analyze our raw material regarding heavy metals such as arsenic, lead, mercury, and cadmium. Of course, we perform analysis regarding dioxin, pesticides residues, dioxin-like PCBs, fluorine hazard, and also non-dioxin-like PCBs, and also salmonella monitoring. So somewhat regarding salmonella monitoring, for our PECKStone, we start our salmonella monitoring from raw materials, which we use. We also perform swab testing for backfilling system, for the equipment, mixtures, weighting scale, for example. We always use a one-way new pallets for PECKStone, but we also perform the swab testing for our pallets and even working clothes. So this part would be our task to ensure the quality and the safety of the products. But you should also know this monitoring should be continued after delivering of our PECKStone to the farm, especially as I mentioned, these PECKStone on all the animal need these minerals. So this very attractive PECKStone for the rodents, for the wild birds, for the livestock and pests, and also for insects. So please keep the PECKStone out of access other wild animals. And this monitoring, salmonella monitoring should be continued after delivering of the PECKStone in the farm. So some words for our hardness grades and ensuring the quality of our hardness grade, which we offer to our customers. As Jan also mentioned, each flock reacts differently in their specific environment, climate, feeding, keeping condition, and its management. For example, in the graphic in the right side, you can see the effect of the feed form which we offer to the animal on the consumption time. For example, if we offer, in this study, they showed that if we offer the feed in the form of pellet, so the consumption time is very fast. That means the animal just consume very fast the feed. So at the rest of the day, they don't have to do anything. So they may start to peck to their neighbors. Another point which also Jan mentioned, this is very important to offer the PECKStone from the first day, because the pecking and so feeding behavior start from the first day in the poultry. So how we ensure the quality of the hardness grade? Here I have two videos from our trial farms in the lines. We installed the cameras and we observe them, the animal, how they react. For example, in the left video, you can see the new PECKStone just placed in the stable. And in the right side, you can see the video, the same PECKStone after 5 weeks. So we observe the reaction of the animal. We sometimes also look at how many pecks the animal do that and how attractive the PECKStone which we offer to the animal is. They are just some examples videos. Here you can see also some example videos regarding broiler farms from our trial farms for broiler. So you can see how the animal attract to the PECKStone and how they peck the PECKStones. So, of course, we also manually monitoring the consumption of the PECKStone. That means we put the PECKStone in the farm and we weighted first the PECKStone, and each week we come back to the farm, weight the PECKStone back and record the weight of the PECKStone. And so based on the number of the PECKStone we offer and the number of the animals, so we can recalculate the consumption of the PECKStone for each animal. Here's one example from this studies. That is for two stable, each 10,000 animal, 500 animals per PECKStone, and the genetic was low one LCL classic. As you can see in this graphic, at the first week, regardless of the hardness grade, we have always the highest consumption rate. In this example, for example, we have the PECKStone hard took up to 3 weeks, extra hard up to 7 weeks, and the PECKStone active up to 13 weeks. Here's another example for our trial farms. I just want to show how the climate, in this case heat stress, and the age of the animal affect the activity and the peck activity and the mobility of the animal. For example, in the left side, you can see the PECKStone extra hard at the beginning of the phase 1. So the PECKStone extra hard took up to 3 weeks. Again, at the first week, we have the highest consumption of the PECKStone, and this is the normal. And the end of the phase 1, the same PECKStone at the same quality, at the same batch, and the same animals. So the PECKStone extra hard took up to 9 weeks. And at the phase 3, and the animal, I think that was the result from 2 years ago in Germany. We had a very hot summer, and the animal was under the heat stress. Again, at the first week, we had the highest consumption, around about 40% of the PECKStone, but because of the heat stress and the consumption reduced after 13 weeks, we had already only maybe 50% of the PECKStone remain. The same result is also for hard, PECKStone hard. Again, at the first week, we had the highest consumption. In this case, the PECKStone hard took up to 2 weeks. And at the phase 3, under the heat stress, the same PECKStone again with the same batch, the same quality, and the same animals, only the 50% of the PECKStone consume up to 9 weeks. So we always suggest in these cases, as Jan also mentioned, offer the PECKStone of different hardness grade together and or in rotation. Some words regarding our packaging. So PECKStone offered in certificated and recyclable plastic bowl. These plastic bowls are certificated, they are food safe. Even the color and the different color which we use for plastic bowl also certificated and also is a food safe. So in this video, I just want to show you the side effect of the plastic bubble. As you see, even after consumption of the PECKStone completely, animal also attracted to the plastic bubble and they peck on the plastic bubble. That was also very interesting for us to observe that. So another advantage of using a plastic bubble, you can see here 2 pictures of different, this is also some products from buildings material, and this is so same as our PECKStone, but without any packaging. As you see, without packaging, these PECKStones get very easily dirty and the animal lost their interest to peck. So they lost their task. It's also very important to place the stone correctly. That means that animals should also have access to the PECKStone. So 2 pictures on the top is not so correctly installed. So we need to give the animal to access to the PECKStone. So most of the animals should also have the opportunity to use the PECKStone. Here, I just want to show some example picture how to place the PECKStone in broiler farms, for example, in the lions farms, and also by turkeys. We use also brand new clean one-way pallets. We wrapped after stocking the PECKStone with the plastics, and for the companies which they request, we can also some protection like a pallet hood and stock safely and ready for transport to our customers. Here's some example, for example, for Canada, for the countries so they are far away. We can also use a container bag, so we ensure the safety that our PECKStone arrive to our customers. And here you see some of the countries that we export our PECKStone worldwide. So how to store the PECKStone? As I mentioned, the most important part is to protect from birds and rodents. And the other issues, not to direct to the sun in the dry place and frost free, and it's better not to stack on top of the pallets on top of them. So I can say maybe I'm very proud that many and very important breeding companies such Lohmann Breeders or Hendrix Genetic trust the quality and the safety of products, and they use our PECKStone as a preoccupation material. And if you look at their management guides, you will always see a picture of our PECKStone in their welfare part. Here, I listed some scientific documents which published, which we work together with universities and research institutes. So if you're interested, we can also offer the PDF format of all these studies to you later. So for conclusion, we can say the Vilofoss PECKStone satisfy the natural behavior of the animal, ensure the active preoccupation of the animal, reduce stress from the first day. So it's very important to use a PECKStone from the first day, promote activity and mobility, support natural behavior, and this is very important, especially in some countries, in European countries, and for example, in Germany, we have a ban for big trimming. There are a different harness grade, and we have a possibility of an individual additional intake of vital minerals and salts. Our PECKStone are QS capable, feedstuff, and approved for organic farming. So that was my time. part, and thank you for your attention. So I give up to Uwe. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Faraz, and thank you very much, Jan, for preparing the presentation and for sharing your knowledge with us on the pecking behavior and on the stone. When preparing this webinar, I was afraid if we will receive some questions or not. I saw that a lot of questions rushed in. So this can have two reasons. Either we have not given enough information with the presentation, or it is, the other reason is that this is a very hot topic and people are very interested into it. And I hope it is the last one and that we didn't miss any information. We are a little bit over time. Nevertheless, we will try to give some answers on some of the questions. Unfortunately, we cannot handle them all, but we will try to summarize them later on and to send out an answer on this. So let's start to give some to use the remaining time to give some quick questions on the answers. I'm not quite sure if you can see the questions. I will start to read them, and then I would like that Faraz or Jan will give a quick answer to the question. So the first one I can see is what kind of PECKStone you just suggesting to slow-growing broilers? Jan, would you like to answer this one? I think you also have some experience from France with slow-growing broilers.
Yeah, because the term slow-growing broiler is a bit broad. Sometimes it's an extension of a week or 2 weeks from standard. So we talk 5 weeks, and then the medium normally would do. I have some experience with clients in France where they have cycles of over or around 100 days, and then they start using the hard one after the medium one. So in slow-growing broilers, you normally you have to adapt after the medium one with the hard one. So the medium and hard one should fit for slow-growing broilers.
Okay, the next one is a good one. It's everybody wants to save some money, and it's a really interesting question. Should the PECKStone be disposed of at the end of a flock? So when the birds are gone and you still have some stones, what should we do? Faraz, could you please give an answer on this?
Yeah, of course, because of the hygiene and discussions, it's better to dispose that and not to use again for the new flocks. That would be our suggestion.
Okay. Then there's the next one is, since the pecking is also stress-related behavior, is Vilofoss looking to provide synergetic solutions together with the PECKStone? So I understand this question, is the PECKStone enough, or do you need some other action to do, or some other equipment management also to do? Jan, would you like to answer on this?
Yeah, well, this is about management, and of course, by just providing enrichment materials, it is not an assurance that you won't see any pecking behavior or severe pecking behavior at all. As always, it's a matter of management, and for management, I think we have to go back to these 4 principles of good housing, good feeding, good climate, and a good way to express their natural behavior. Sorry. So it's always a combination of the 4. And if you are able to do all 4 good, you're fine. If you are losing one of them, you have to put more effort in the other 3 to compensate this. And this is also why I mentioned, and this is your daily work, that it's not only enrichment, but it's also a good feeding, which is very, very important for birds to avoid these kind of bad behavior.
Okay, thank you. There's another interesting one. I think maybe I'm allowed to answer this. There's a question, why only Lohmann and Hendricks, did they have more problems? And no, I hope I'm allowed to answer this. This is more by random, to be honest. As nutritional people, we are also checking frequently the recommendation from the breeding companies, the management guides, and the nutritional guidelines. And we saw that the companies, we know it, and we saw it in the brochures that they're using it. But this has no genetical background why they're using it. We know that also other breeding companies using our stone. So we showed this pictures only because we found the brochures, or we found our stones inside the brochures. So it's totally random why we choose them. And then let's pick up the next question. The PECKStone duo is divided. Are both hulls equally hard? Faraz, would you like to give an answer on this?
Yeah, the PECKStone duo, we have some paper in the middle of the PECKStone, and that is also fit safe, so you don't need to remove this paper. And both part is each 5 kilo, and this is the same PECKStone with the same quality and the same batch, and everything is the same. Yeah.
Okay, let's handle one more. There's some more, but we are very sorry we cannot answer all. We will try to follow up and give you later on an answer. We are a little bit out of our time management. Maybe the Poultry group has to sign into a time management training next time. So there's one, the last one of the newest one. Is the full line of PECKStones available, approved in Canada? I cannot find anything but a green cup one. I think, Jan, you are familiar with the program in Canada.
Yes, as I mentioned before, because of country regulations, it might happen that the shown PECKStones are not available in all parts of the world, and this is also for Canada, UK, Canada, USA. But we have different degrees of hardnesses available in these parts of the world also, and contact the dealer or directly us, and we'll get in contact and somehow find a way to serve you the best way in different degrees of hardnesses. So yes, as I mentioned before, you might see different colors of balls and different types in different parts of the world, but pretty much the standard, the way of thinking of how to use the PECKStone is as I presented it in my presentation.
Okay, thank you, Jan. I think we're running a little bit out of time, so Faraz, maybe you can give me the next slide. Like I mentioned before, we will try to also answer the open questions, and maybe one slide back, Faraz. And so I would like to thank you all for participating into our webinar. It was a pleasure for us to have you with us. We would be happy if we could give you some interesting information. And please do not hesitate to contact us and to get in contact with us if you missed something or if you have more questions. As I mentioned before, Jan has a lot of practical experience with different husbandry systems in layers. So it would be a pleasure for us to exchange with you and to exchange experience and knowledge about the pecking behavior in the layers. So thank you all. And last but not least, my colleagues asked me to make a final announcement. So this was a webinar on poultry, but of course we are also working on other animals also. So there are some more webinars coming up. I don't know if as poultry people you are interested, but there will be also some webinars on pigs and on kettles. They are planned for September, and I'm sure that you will find more details on our webpage. And thank you again for joining. And for us, it's still a fresh day, so still a lot to come. But we also have people from all over the world which are now finished with their work, and the day is turning to the end. So all to you, have a nice day, and it would be great to see you again on the next of our webinars. Thank you very much, and have a nice day, and goodbye. Take care.